Hi, my name's Glenn Hasselman. I'm just making this video for the free accounting software users to show you guys how to use payroll robot calculation rules in free accounting software. So firstly, what are the robot calculation rules? Well, they are the rules that allow you to enter a timesheet, in this case where the employee's worked 8 hours on this day, and click Robot Calculate and have the system calculate that the employee will be entitled to 8 hours normal time in relation to that timesheet line. This is separate to the normal payroll calculations like your pay-as-you-go, withholding and superannuation, which are not what I'm covering here. Okay, so this feature is only available where you have a BAS Off cloud business, so where we are hosting the business file on our server, and that is determined when you create your business and you go new. You can choose to have a local file or a hosted file, and there is a video. If you do have a local file and you want to upgrade, there's a video that shows you how to do that. Okay, I've set up this organization for the demo. There's going to be a series of videos on this because it can and starting simple and then working our way up to more complex calculations. So firstly, just showing you some of the setup. In the counterparties, I've set up an employee, and on the payroll details for that employee, the relevant items are here. And this is to do with the roster for that employee's work. In this example, I've just got a normal weekly roster, whereas you could have a fortnightly or 4-weekly, or in fact whatever number of days you like in the roster. The parameters here, the first one is the first full roster start date. So I've actually just set up this test or demonstration employee as they're starting on the 1st of December. And if we have a look at the calendar here, the 1st of December is a Tuesday. So I want the roster to start on the Monday and go through to the Sunday. And you can choose, it doesn't have to be the Monday, you can choose whatever day in the week that your roster starts on, or the roster for this employee, that is, starts on. Different employees can actually have different rosters. So this first week is not a full roster, so the first full one starts on the Monday for the next week. Days in the roster I've set to 7, being a weekly roster. Important thing to note is the Saturday and Sunday, even if your employees don't normally work, or let's say they never work Saturday and Sunday, it's got to get included somewhere in the roster, also in the pay cycle as well. So the last one here is first normal cycle payday. This is actually not used in any payroll robot calculations, but perhaps in the future. And in relation to that first roster, the payday is the 15th. So let's say they work from the Monday through to the Sunday, and then they get paid on Tuesday. You might pay them earlier on the Monday or later on the Wednesday, but you just set that up as per your requirements. Okay, so I haven't made any changes on this page. I don't need to save it, but that's the only setup on the employee that relates to the payroll robot calculations. So going back to the menu and clicking on accounts now, there is a new account that you will need to set up that's not in the default chart of accounts, and that is called Work. And this account is used to put on that timesheet line. So I've flagged it as an expense account. There will actually be no dollar value recorded against the entry because it's on the timesheet line. But I think it's best to put it as an expense account. The important thing is to flag the payment deduction type as time. Not all accounts are available to be selected in that box on the timesheet line, so you have to select time so that it makes this account code available. The rest of all this should be left blank. There should not be a tax code or anything like that. The calculation rule info is also blank. This is just a account to put on the timesheet line, and the calculation applies to this timesheet line. The calculation is not on the timesheet line, if that makes sense. But just know that you don't put the calculation rule itself on the account that's used on the timesheet line. So that's the complete setup for this timesheet line account. Now you can have multiple of these, and I'll explain why in a later video. It relates to the type of work they're doing, and if there was different types of work that the employees did that made them entitled to different things, then you might use different timesheet line accounts to achieve that. But I'll go into that more in a future video. Okay, back to the accounts list, and there is this account called Normal Time. Now this is in the default chart of accounts, except the calculation rule info is not set up in the default chart of accounts because every business is different, and you'd need to set this up yourself. So the first part is all the same as the default setup. The calculation rule info is where it changes. So there is this second item here. And I should say that calculation rules are not just used for payroll. So this first option here is actually irrelevant for payroll. So just leave that blank. The second one, provision to use on calculated transactions. Tax codes and provisions, sometimes I've used the word provision, are actually the same, exact same thing. It's just a different name, and I try to be consistent. But tax provisions can be tax codes like GST, but they could also be things that are not technically taxes like superannuation. So they are a provision for something, which is usually a tax. But yeah. So anyway, you need to set the tax code that you want the software to use on the calculated line over here. Okay, and I've already set that up, so I don't need to save this page up. Actually, I forgot to mention calculation rules stage. Again, that is not relevant to the Payroll Robot calculation rules. Okay, going to the calculation rule list. There's only one here so far. I'm going to set up more as we go. Let's just go and have a look at that. First of all, on the right hand side, there is this account here, rule triggered by selected accounts. So you can select multiple accounts that will trigger the rule. In most cases, you'll only have one, and that's the work account that I just showed you, and that means that when that account is on the transaction somewhere, usually, well, should be in the timesheet line, it will trigger this rule to get looked at. Now, just the name or the description of the calculation rule. You can put a longer description there. I won't cover all of these parameters. I'll do that in future videos. Roster day, okay, 1 to 4. So this applies on the Monday through to the Thursday. So we set the employee's roster to start on the Monday and have a 7-day cycle. So day 1 is the Monday and 4 is the Thursday, and this has just been entered here as 1-4. Okay, I'll skip through a bit of this, but from hours and to hours. So from hours is from 0 hours, and 2 hours is up to 8. So they are getting normal time from the start of their work through to up to 8 hours. Okay, and I'll skip the qualify and disqualify hours. Hours, quantity, or 1 unit. I've selected hours/quantity. I've matched rule. So whatever hours matches this rule, that's what they get paid. Hours, quantity, unit multiplier is 1. You generally always want 1. You could scale up the number of hours or down, depending on, I'll cover that a bit more in later videos. Apply rules separately for each day. Yes, so each day is a separate calculation. You could go do a calculation on the basis of the whole payslip. So anyway, that's the basic, the key points of the setup there. Again, I haven't changed anything here, so I don't need to save. But yeah, I'll just show you how it works. I did show you that at the beginning of the video, but just have another look. So going into the payroll batch, doing a new payslip, and selecting test employee. I'll just shrink the font down so that we can see all the boxes on this timesheet. Select the 7th, which is the Monday. 9 to 6 with 1 hour break, and account is work. Okay. Then click this button down the bottom right saying Robot Calculate, and the software is calculating normal time 8 hours. Okay, just to show you a little bits extra, if I was to take it up to 19 and click Robot Calculate, it's still calculating 8 hours because we've set that from 0 hours up to 8. If I was to reduce this down to 5 o'clock, which makes it a 7 hours of work, and click Robot Calculate, it will reduce the normal time to 7. Okay, so that's the basics of the Payroll Robot Calculation rules, and this is just the first video. There's going to be more ones with more complex rules. Hope the video has been useful. If you liked it, maybe give me a YouTube like or something like that. Thanks for watching.